Hello and welcome to the Metal Pack Pod, brought to you by the Metal Packager, the essential resource for metal packaging professionals. The Metal Pack Pod is the only podcast dedicated to metal packaging. We'll regularly welcome an array of special guests to discuss the issues affecting the industry today. My name is Alex Fordham, and joining me on episode 3 is Greg Stromberg, who is founder and CEO of CannedWater4Kids. Greg was alarmed at the rate at which children worldwide were dying from waterborne diseases caused by the lack of clean, safe drinking water. The aluminium can and aluminium bottle had become a billboard for broadcasting the charity's purpose of providing safe drinking water for those that need it most. It was a fascinating discussion, and I hope you enjoy the podcast with Greg. Hi, Greg. Thanks for joining me. As customary with the Metal Pack Pod, I've just got a few quick fire questions for you to answer. So without further ado, if you can just give me a 2 or 3 sentence answer to these questions, and then we'll kick things off. So first of all, what is your favourite metal packaging product ever?
Well, it has to be the standard 12-ounce can. And when I go back in my history, it used to be a soldered 3-piece can, and now it's a 2-piece can. And, you know, it was a 211-413, and that's what I grew up with. That's what I was introduced to in 1970 when I had my first job with Continental Can Company in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And they were beer cans, by the way.
You can't mess with a classic, absolutely. Favorite personality from the industry?
Well, there are actually 2 people. Claire Kohler, who was instrumental in teaching me about color measurement and understanding color variation. And then the gentleman that took over after Claire retired and left, you know, he has passed away since he left Inks, but Joe Finan, 2 very, very smart people that taught me a lot about understanding variation and what is good quality decoration on cans.
Favorite country that you visited with work?
Well, you're going to probably like this one, Manchester, England. Jonathan invited me there, and I took the long route through the countryside and absolutely fell in love with those little cottages and those little businesses. And I would be not telling you all the truth if I didn't say that Japan was another country that I found fascinating, completely different than Manchester, but two great companies that I had an opportunity to visit. Japan,
I can understand, but as a southerner, Southern Englishman, to say Manchester leaves a little to be desired. But no, I'm only joking. No, it's North of England's a terrific part of the world. With regards to working arrangements, do you prefer the old or new normal?
Well, you know, I love change. Obviously, you know, there's some pain in change, and I always say no gain without the pain. So I literally did my MBA e-learning. So I started the virtual world almost 10 years ago, and so my capstone project was on a virtual marketing company. So I literally had very little adjustment to make when it came to using the technology and the social networking to relate to this disruptive environment that we're in right now. Obviously, there's some things that are difficult, you know, with the death toll, not only in the U.S. but around the world, and what it's done to people losing their jobs and making them ill. That's something that is always difficult to handle.
And the biggest challenge for the industry moving forward into 2021?
I think the biggest challenge is going to be how to replace the plastic water bottle. And I think that's going to take some real education and promotion to make people aware that just because you consume it and it costs less in the applied long term, what I call the real problem is what it's doing to our environment and is getting into our food system and our oceans and rivers and landfills. It's just a bad actor because it's not getting recycled.
Interesting quick fire questions there. I just wanted to touch upon something that you said at the end there with regards to plastic water bottles. I think it's something that the industry has been mindful of for a long time, trying to target that penetration of the plastic water bottle market. I mean, is there anything the canned metal packaging industry can do to try and get into that market share, or do you think they've got that too sewn up, really?
Well, I think when you look at the market space and you look at the younger crowd, as I call them, the millennials and and the Z's, they really get and understand how precious our environment is, water and air, and we all consume that water either directly or through the food products that we eat. And obviously the air, when it's contaminated, just like water, which gets contaminated. Believe it or not, 2,000 cities in the U.S. have contaminated water, and mainly because of the infrastructure. That just like COVID, which maybe doesn't take as long to kill somebody, contaminated water is a slow, silent killer, especially for children and older people.
No, absolutely. So, Greg, you've been in the industry a long time. When people have been in the industry 30, 40 years, look to retire, they end up on the golf course 3 or 4 times a week. But you decided to find the charity. So I just wanted to get a little bit of information behind what prompted you to set up the charity itself.
Well, I was still working at Inks International at the time. And, as you get older, you begin to think about, what you've done, what you've accomplished. And I was very blessed to have a great career, work with great people, work in a great industry, work in a company that I loved. I worked in inks for 37 years. I've been in the industry almost 51 years. So, I felt I needed to do something to give back because of having 3 children while I was doing this full-time work in the can industry. I had 3 healthy children, 9 healthy grandchildren, with plenty of abundance of being spoiled and everything that one would do for grandchildren in the U.S. market. I felt there was something missing, and that missing was that I wasn't doing enough to give back. So I got to thinking about, what my dad used to tell me about my grandfather, who was a dentist during the Depression, and how he would help people that were in, severe pain but couldn't afford because they didn't have jobs to get their teeth fixed. And he would tell me how he would take care of their teeth and their pain, and wouldn't charge them anything because they didn't have any money. And that kind of really stuck in my I don't want to say craw, but something that I would think about now and then as I looked at my grandfather. My dad was very very giving too. And then the late Paul Newman, the actor who ran a Newman's Own product, and he took his name and leveraged it in sold product and gave that money to charity. So this service aspect, and then Jimmy Carter, the things that he did, to help others after he left office. All these people had an impression on me. And then I got exposed to a summit, a Can Maker Summit back in Chicago in 2007, where we had a gentleman come in and speak to everybody about what are you doing with your rigid packaging. He was a consultant to the United Nations, Neil McCormick Robinson. Actually, on my LinkedIn, there's a outline, a PowerPoint of what he shared with all of us at that meeting, and all the top CEOs and VPs were at this meeting in Chicago. And he basically asked, what are you doing to help people in developing countries that their food spoils and their water gets contaminated? Well, fortunately, I had been thinking about this, and I had a friend put together a package, and Jerry Gifford from Crown happened to be there along with Bob Truitt, I think the CEO at the time. And I presented my idea and said, hey, I'm so moved by this presentation, but I've had this idea. Would you make up a pallet of cans for me? I want to put water in the cans, with the idea that I would sell it and make that can a poster child or a billboard for a cause, which was to get children clean water all over the world. So that was my inspiration. And I also wanted to leave a legacy for my 3 kids and grandchildren. I wanted to be a model and let them know that, the important thing in life is really service to others who are in most need. So that's kind of my story.
That's really refreshing to hear. I mean, do you think that's one of the negatives of the industry sometimes, that once people have done their service, they retire and then move on to other pastures, whereas perhaps retaining people in the industry with their knowledge would be a benefit, and getting involved with causes such as yourself?
Yeah, well, I never like to judge what other people do, but just share my experience that I can tell you, when I look at everything in life, the rewards that you get from knowing that you've helped somebody that's been in need, whether it's a child that needs clean water or food or clothing or education. And yes, the industry taught me, it made me a much smarter, intelligent person, and I can't begin to thank them. That's why I'm doing this work, and I'm so grateful that the industry has supported this. So yes, by all means, do something, even if it's small, and you'll make a difference. And it's like eating an elephant. The problems are so big that the only way to eat that elephant, and I'm not advocating eating elephants unless it's a chocolate elephant, okay, is to do it one bite at a time. And we all have a place. And I always like to talk about the why, the purpose. We all have a purpose on this earth. And I think your question is a good one. So hopefully what I'm doing will spread, and I know there's a lot of people doing good things in our industry.
You've been involved with many projects with CannedWater4Kids. I mean, is there anything in particular that you are most proud of?
Wow. It's going on 13 years, and to just give you some data, I think everybody can relate to that. We put a little card together that we've helped 3.5 million people in need, that when the Red Cross came to us and they needed clean water, starting with Haiti all the way through Storm Sandy and the tsunami in Japan and all the storms in Texas and Florida. One of the stories I like to share is I was working at Inks, and I got a call on a Monday from the Red Cross, and this was right after the Puerto Rico devastation storm that took place down there and just wiped out that whole island. They said, we have room in the belly of a 777 in Philadelphia. Can you get us 13,000 pounds of water by Wednesday? We'll fly it in. And I always say this is probably a divine intervention or the universe, depending on where you align yourself with. I was able to find a truck driver that drove straight through from Milwaukee with the water and got it on the American Airlines plane in Philadelphia, and it flew into Puerto Rico, and we got it there right after the storm. So there's probably many other stories like Haiti. I had no idea after the earthquake how we would get water in there, and it was on a weekend, and it was the first time I got a request for help, and we got the water into the island with the help of Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, who had a medical barge going out of New Orleans, Louisiana, and they had room for 2 truckloads, and 2 truckloads got on there. And then the Royal Caribbean had a ship, and they had a northern port where they would sail to, had room for 2 truckloads. So we took 2 truckloads into that northern port with the help of the Royal Caribbean. So there's so many stories and so much good, and I can't explain except maybe divine intervention that helped fill that need, and we get that water, and that canned water into those countries to help them out.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, I just wanted to change tack a little bit with regards to probably move forward now to present day, really. I mean, charities have been seen to be struggling across the globe due to COVID-19 and all the problems associated with that. I mean, how have you found it at CannedWater4Kids?
We're no different. We're not immune, if I can use that word, from the damage that the COVID has caused, not only in the U.S. but all over the world. Our sales are way down. All our restaurant business disappeared because these places closed down. The national parks, Aramark, where we do product, Denali National Park, where we sold, 250,000 that went into the park because they didn't want plastic water bottles there anymore. They closed the park. So we saw our sales just drop. We couldn't make face-to-face sales calls. We couldn't attend events. We participated in the IMDA, every year, and we had a booth there, Healthier America in Chicago. We weren't able to go to that, plus many others where we could be face to face and see our potential customers and talk to them. Now it's we've all become Zoomies, I guess, or
Unfortunately
Google Meeting.
so.
Yes.
With regards to how you've had to adapt due to COVID-19, I mean, what have you put in play? You mentioned Zoomies, so I assume plenty of video calls, that sort of thing, to try and have that interaction with potential customers, clients. So what else have you done to try and keep the charity moving during these past few months?
Well, leveraging the social networks, everything from LinkedIn to Instagram to Twitter to Facebook, Snapchat. I can't keep track of all of them out there. YouTube and Vimeo. We've tried to tell our story and share our work and share the results of some of our projects that we've done, like in Tanzania, in Kenya, in Central Africa, and in the highlands of Guatemala. Like I said, I did my MBA on a virtual marketing company, so I probably had a heads up on the importance of using these mediums for good or bad. It is a double-edged sword, but we've tried to use it for good. And we saw our e-commerce sales grow. We leverage Amazon, and we also have our own website, which we're in the process of updating, so people can just purchase easily, there to get our products. So I think as we've seen the retail business, turn into Amazon, and over here Costco and Walmart, people are reluctant to get exposed and go outside, so they're utilizing the free delivery service, and in that whole structure of selling retail and food has changed completely.
So, Greg, when we've been having discussions during the past few weeks and in pre-recording, you mentioned that you've come up with this neat idea of purchasing domain names. So I'm curious, I'm sure our listeners are too, just how are you looking to exploit your portfolio of domains?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. If you don't know what a domain name is, it's really your address or your cell phone number, which stays with you forever, so people know how to contact you. A domain is an address on the World Wide Web, and what we did is we purchased domain names, and we purchased around water, around drinking water, and we've got about 2,000 of them, and we thought, why not offer that as an investment, which it really is. It's like buying a stock. If you would have purchased Coke or McDonald's or one of those IBM or UPS, one of those domain names way back when the Worldwide first started, it would be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we thought we would offer, if somebody wanted to make a donation, we put a value that GoDaddy put on our domain name. You can buy that domain name. That money will go right to our nonprofit to help us sustain our work in what we're doing. And in return, you get an investment like a stock that will show return over time. Then you can either hold on to it, and just like a stamp or a coin, it'll collect more value, or you can offer it for sale and get a return. So that's our creative idea that we're offering, not only the industry but outside the industry.
So where can our listeners go to find out more about that?
Well, you can go to our website, which is CannedWater4Kids.org. Or you can go to Afternic, and we have our listing of domain names there. We'll post this, on LinkedIn or through you. We'll give you the link that you can send followers where they can go pick out what they would like, and the price is right there, and then they can make a bid for it, and that money will go to sustaining our nonprofit.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, is there anything else that the industry can do to help you guys? Because I know you did mention earlier in the pod that times have been difficult for charities, and particularly yourself. So is there anything else that the industry and our listeners can do to help support you?
Well, first off, they can buy the water in the can or the bottle. A lot of people in the industry, the supply chain, and we want to reach out to them further, maybe with your help, Alex, that when they have meetings, when our can or our bottle, shows up, it starts conversations. And instead of having a plastic water bottle at the meeting, if they can give their meeting people or their customers or suppliers, instead of a plastic water bottle, offer them a aluminum can or aluminum bottle. Tastes better and it's infinitely recyclable. The other thing the industry can do is we take donations and grants. We would love, even if it's $1, it helps. The other thing that we've done that's very creative is to become a sponsor. And there's a couple of different levels. I won't go into the details now, but we do have that on our webpage, how to become a sponsor. And I think we'll send you some of that also, Alex, where literally you can purchase and we can put, if I can show this, it's going to read a little bit differently. You can see on this closure made by Silcan, we can imprint and put your company name. Obviously, it takes a few more than just 50 of them to do that, but we can also do cartons and with digital printing, we can literally personalize them so you can give them out as gifts to your customers or to your supply chain. And last, which we think is really, really important, is word of mouth. Tell people about what we're doing, what the purpose of this bottle or this can is. We say drinking water with a purpose, and the purpose is to make sure that we educate and get clean water to every child in the world, sustainable clean drinking water, whether it's the U.S., whether it's England, whether it's Africa, Guatemala. That's our purpose, is to ensure that every child in the world has access to clean, safe drinking water.
No, that's fantastic. And I mean, it's certainly a cause of clean, safe water plus the metal container. I mean, it's a perfect fusion of two important topics, really. I mean, you've always struck me as very entrepreneurial, and you're never sitting still. I mean, what are you looking at with regards to the future for the organisation? I mean, are you personally looking to slow down anytime soon, or are you very much looking ahead to the future and what you can bring to the table with keeping CannedWater4Kids going as a really important charity for the future?
I think my gear is stuck, so I'm on fast forward. Not sure about how that's going to slow down, but we're trying to find more partners and getting help from the industry to push the word out. But a couple of exciting things we're working on. One of them, and I'm going to share here, I think this may be the first for people to hear this. We've been working with Cardinal Stritch University and some young entrepreneurs that are teaching kids in the city of Milwaukee. I've always liked the concept of entrepreneurs for kids, teaching kids how to create value. So we've all had either a lemonade stand as a kid, or a newspaper route, or we've sold pizzas or candy to raise funds. What we're doing is putting together, with the help of the university and this group called Yes Young Enterprise Society. They teach kids how to program computers and teach them all the basics of a small business. We are going to give water to these children that they can sell. And these are high school children that they can sell. And we call it Learn, Earn, Pay It Forward. We want to teach them about water, drinking water 101. We want to teach them the selling and marketing tools that they're going to use when they leave school, because they're going to have to work for somebody. And if they're not creating value for their organizations, companies won't keep them employed. So that's one of the exciting things that we're doing. It's in a beta test right now. We hope to roll it out on a much larger scale. My vision in 5 years is to have this to be an international program. The other thing we're doing is on education with water and packaging is helping people understand the problems that need to be solved in the stewardship that's needed on this scarce resource. There's only so much fresh, clean water left on this earth. And if we don't take care of it, like I said, we're all going to be subject to this silent killer of not only lead in the water, but other contaminants. And I'm really telling people that the can, the vessel, the aluminum can and bottle is the new infrastructure for water, because they can't build these new pipes that are all leaded in the cities in the U.S. that they may be getting clean water out of the filtration plant like in Milwaukee, but when it gets into the pipes, they're lead, and then it gets into the older homes that have lead pipes, the water is getting contaminated. And lead does a lot of damage to young people, not only health-wise, but behavior-wise, learning-wise, causes attention deficit. It's just, there are too many things that people just don't realize what contaminated water does.
And it's not just an issue in the third world either, is it? And I think people forget that there's issues all over the world with clean water.
Yeah, and again, you know, people don't realize, we ask people these three questions. Number one, do you know where your water was sourced? Where did it come from? The second question is, okay, you got it out of a well, you got it out of a river, you got it out of a lake, you got it out of the air. In some cases, people are taking water out of the air. How was it cleaned or purified? And then the last question, and this is why I love the can, because once it goes in the can, you know, how does it get delivered to you? Does it come to you in a plastic bottle? Does it come to you in a plastic, office, one of those big office dispensers? Or does it come through a pipe that is over 100 years old that's going to contaminate the water? So you need to know the answers to those three questions. And think about it. You know, we all consume it every day. Do you ever ask yourself, where did this water come from? You go to a restaurant, you know, where did they get that water from? Your food, the food that you eat, you know, I mean, if you have pancakes or whatever you eat in the morning or lunch, there's water in that food. Where did that water come from? So we need to learn more about answers to these questions, and governments and NGOs, and we need to educate the world. So that's one of the things that we're having and doing is an exchange portal called Everything Drinking Water. And we want to help be a collaborative, open source, problem-solving control tower for the world. That's my long-term vision.
Sounds like you've got no time for rest anyway, that's for sure. Very, very, very busy life going on there, and that's fantastic. And just from behalf of the industry, I mean, thanks very much for all the work that you do, and long may it continue. So no, thanks very much, Greg. And I just want to end with, if you could just share your website and details of where the individuals can donate.
Yes, so it's CannedWater4Kids.org, CannedWater, the numeral 4, KIDS.org, or you can just go to CW4K.org, which is a lot easier to do. And there's a donation button right on the front of our webpage. You can just hit that and it'll let you go and place whatever amount that you'd like to place, or if you'd like to purchase our product, that would be great too, or become a sponsor. It's all on the front of our webpage. And Alex, I can't appreciate and say thank you enough, and the industry, for their great support. I owe them a lot.
Greg, it's been a pleasure. Speak to you soon.
Thank you. Cheers.
Wow, that was interesting. It's been pretty overwhelming to see how people like Greg see it as their duty to give something back after a nigh on 50-year career in the industry. With charities having struggled during the pandemic, I hope it's a message that resonated with you, and being able to fuse the aluminium can with providing safe drinking water, well, there's few better partnerships, isn't there? It certainly teaches all of us a lesson that despite our personal circumstances, there are more important issues in life. I myself will endeavour to get involved with causes that appeal to me. Please be sure to like the pod and connect with us on social channels. Please do give us a 5-star on Apple Podcasts if you may. And for those who haven't yet subscribed, please visit metalpackager.com/subscribe. We'll see you very soon.